Listen, folks, I just watched Skall's video about fantasy creatures with 4 arms wielding weapons. What would they be? I posted a couple of responses to that video in the comments section, but I thought I'd do a video to give kind of a visual representation of what I was talking about, because it may be a little not easy to understand what I was describing it. The second idea I had was a special shaped shield. 2 of them held by the lower arms, 1 on each side. And I made a mock-up on a poster board. It's this shape, which I described as kind of a swoosh. Now, I kind of didn't necessarily make it exactly as I might make it in real life, but it worked out for the demo. Arm strapped, I hope you can see that, and held kind of low, and maybe angled like this by the lower arm. And with a quick twist, obviously I can lift this, and this spike here defends the high line to my head. I could put a spike on there, kind of like on those large dueling shields we see in some of the medieval manuals, and possibly use it to make a small pecking attack, not much. I don't know if there'll be really enough power to that, but at least to deter people. Obviously that's a big window to see out, but also stick things out. This defends my head, this defends my whole body. I would not use a shield like this if a plate armor were an option, but in the setting, I'm assuming that these 4-armed creatures are wearing light armors like mele or gambeson or something like that. As such, if I was holding the shield here, a chair in here, so I can stack that where it would be about. That's about where it'd be if I was holding it with my lower arm. Well, it wouldn't fall in battle. Right? But you see, slightly lifting my arm would guard that line in my head. Keeping it in this position, which seems to be trickier without an actual arm, with my left arm, upper, I would recommend a spear. Now this is just a walking stick, but it does the point, I think. No pun intended. But I can thrust, obviously, and withdraw, and keep enough of the spear out that's deterring people from getting close. But I could jab out, or even hold overhand this way and jab at a low line, or come over potentially. Now if I had 2 of these shields, they'd be covering to about my midline here, and the center would be open, but I could obviously close them off very quickly by just twisting the arms like this. But imagine there's another shield here, the point here, and the lower part about here. So I have this kind of open, almost like a Spartan helmet, eyes and nose area. So I will demonstrate this left-handed because I didn't make a right-handed shield, nor did I think about how to set that up right-handed. But, well, actually, flip around, that would be easy. Flip around, set it, yeah, like that. Okay, now, you see, but me either ducking or lifting the shield, this covers my line in my head. I have this big open area for visibility. With a sword, here, I can still make attacks this way. I can still, just by moving this slightly, make attacks this way and this way. Or I could actually have my hand outside the shield, because this is still protecting the top line to my head and to my arm. So I could have my sword out this way in front of the shield even, withdraw back, thrust, even come over, well, hit my shield, come over, make attacks, by flipping the blade potentially, cutting down the center line especially, because this would be angled, like I said, like this, so cutting here, move this slightly, cut here. So it still gives you downward attacks, thrusts. It does limit you from attacking from below a little bit, but like I said, the middle hair is open, so you could potentially come straight up. But I think the defensive qualities of this would make you like a tank. You'd be essentially between 2 walls with an opening. You could potentially, like I said, with the spear in one hand, of course, since you'd be primarily thrusting with it, would certainly be able to thrust out and back to relative safety between the shields. And even if it was say like a small glaive or something, you could do some chopping with it, and that would be keeping people at further range than the sword, and when they got closer you could have the sword to attack when they get into a closer range. But the shields essentially form like a small castle around you, which would be great protection. Like I said, it would only work, I think, if you weren't using a creature with plate. If you had to play the shields become redundant, you change your strategy. But that's what brought me to my first comment, which I'll explain in a second. Okay, so my first idea on Skull's video was to fight with maybe a smaller shield, either like a heater, maybe a buckler, sword, or short spear, but to use, well, we have a scythe, but let's use a walking cane here, right? Imagine this is the scythe blade. I hope you'll ever see this. But as I'm closing, with shield, well, shield and sword, in my upper hands, my lower hands will be able to swing this blade, right? Right at knee level against an opponent, and if I stuck it out at an angle like this to reap, with a scythe, I get, range where they'd be in range of my sword attacks, and with the scythe at the lower limbs. Now, a scythe is not a traditional agricultural scythe, at least, as many people say it is, not a great weapon. It's designed specifically to sweep grain at the ground level. But if you thought of your leg kind of like grain and swept it like a scythe, you certainly would be able to take someone from the knee down, and if they didn't have good armor, they're going to be very vulnerable to that when you close in, binding with the shield and attacking with the sword. And if you had it held at an angle, they might not realize what it was or see it because of the shield. You could even cover it in leather, make it look sort of like a scabbard so they don't notice what it is, potentially, because they're going to be focusing more on your sword and shield, most likely, I guess at least. But anyway, that's the other idea I had, so I wanted to give a visual to that. Hilson, and good night.
Okay, so there is my response video to Skallagrim on what I believe 4-armed monsters would use in combat. Hope you all enjoyed it. It's kind of late. I've been sick. Had a sore throat and all. And I keep changing all these weird colors. So I probably should get some rest. I'm going to bed now. Hilson, good night.